In a magical world, a spectacle, a veil that's been put right before your eyes. We live in a world where narratives and stories and, sayings have a particular effect on our psyche based on wherever we're getting ready to go. But when you live in a world of operational variables, a shroud, a charade that's constantly being peeled back again and again and again so we can find the root of the problem. When we're dealing with this veil, this shroud of people, places, and things that subscribe to different ideologies, schools of thought, schools of feelings, ways of being that agree and disagree with each other, in a world where the hero is drawn out for you and the villain is drawn out for you, and you're made to choose between those two. To some people, the hero is the villain. To some people, the villain is the hero. AKA, that's why we make up archetypes of these things, like the anti-hero. Oh, I like the anti-hero. Oh, like Shadow the Hedgehog, Virgil in Devil May Cry. All these different characters that display these different parts of ourselves that we don't really express based on how society was structured and the governing system and things like that. So, and how whatever the entertainment promotes as far as being a good, right, or righteous thing. Like Thanos, for example, in Marvel Comics and shit like that. Thanos to a lot of people may be perceived as evil. Oh, Thanos wanna wipe out half of humanity, blah blah blah, because the universe, whatever, can't sustain that number. So Thanos needs to wipe out a bunch of beings from the universe and things like that. To some people, that might be evil. We need to stop that. But to some other people, Thanos might be good. Thanos might be a gift from God, because some people know that that needs to be done. However, they choose to judge the circumstance. But you're really here not to pay attention necessarily to those things. Understand those things that are operational variables that appeal to certain groups of individuals and things like that. See, some people in the future will say, yes, we need to kill half of humanity in order to save the planet, and they will really feel like they have the right moral standpoint and things like that. But you see, this is why the dominant culture always gives us option A or option B. The Democrats or Republicans, get married or don't get married, go to school or don't go to school. It's always this option A and this option B, and we never put ourselves in the position of creating option C. That's for yourself. Oh, C, the letter C. Oh, you have the ability to see. Are you going to be an alpha and outwardly express this, or are you going to be a beta and allow this outer word expression to be received by you being the beta male or you being the female and things like that. And so we need to start really paying attention and analyzing those things and seeing that these are just archetypes, types, and you might be a whole new archetype. You might be a whole new type of being that God sent on this planet to show people a whole new reality beyond the spectrum that we call life, because really we live from a limited perspective. We live from limited spectrums of reality, and the energies that we display or the energy that we try to embody are things that society have shown us to be normal and normalized, and things that we feel safe to take on as far as an attribute and characteristics, and display that outwardly. So it's no wonder that there's certain music genres that are very popularized in certain geographical locations, and certain music genres that are demonized in certain geographical locations. So in all over the world, there's this demonization and there's this angelization of things. Like, where this thing in this part of the world is way better than this thing in this other part of the world. When we go to that other part of the world, we see this thing being, this thing here is an angel, and this thing over there is a demon. So, for example, women being equal to men, and I don't believe in equality between men and women. I believe each one have a different role to play in life, but I believe that's exactly what makes men and women equal, is their ability to play out and carry out those different responsibilities and roles. Here in the West, female empowerment and pussy power and all these things are promoted and exemplified excessively. In the East, female disempowerment, females giving their control over to the man and things like that, and them staying at home and being housewives is excessively dealt with. And so we have this imbalance society that's not balanced at all. And so we need to start to see, why is it that we do that? Why is it that we're always lost in some kind of polar shift? And why are we never ever balancing the situation? Because I'm sure that there's some men and women in Saudi Arabia that don't necessarily agree with the culture or the tradition, and they carry out their marriage in a different manner, in different mannerisms, because they think, hey, like, I'm a free person with a spirit and a soul and a body, and you're a free person with a spirit and a soul and a body, and so you're free to do certain things, but we want to be worried about other things like society pressures and things like that, even like morality police, or policing the people around you, because everybody's agents around us. Once again, if we get outside of the system, way of perceiving, way of seeing, way of thinking, way of speaking, way of communicating, way of practicalizing something, you might get pulled down by other people just due to them being agents and being morality police and things like that. Even where I come from Sudan, and over there they have morality police where people literally morally police each other on, not, this is not the right thing to do, on, not, this is the wrong thing to do. And I don't think people want to do that necessarily, but I think people are so uncomfortable with what's expressing itself inside of them that they don't know how to play that out outside of them as well. Because when your yin realm, when your subconscious unconsciousness is showing you something different that wants to bubble up to the surface, and consciously you aren't able to do that, you aren't able to externalize that due to the circumstance or situation that's governed by a government, or the entertainment, whatever it promotes, and things like that, you might not be able to carry out those responsibilities and duties and things like that. And so we have these heroes promoted as far as a way of life, a way of thinking, a way of feeling, a way of carrying yourself that's romanticized, and what is this, like this hero figure, this mythological deity hero figure. It could be an artist simply like Drake and things like that, and you have this other thing where that's demonized, that's seen as stupid, that's seen as not worth it, that's seen as dumb and things like that. This is why you have even females marrying thugs, marrying people who don't really have jobs and things like that. There's nothing wrong with those things, unless you're gonna build it right, and you're gonna understand the costs that come with a lifestyle. But you can see how there's this polarization between the dude that goes to school, gets a degree. There's nothing wrong with going or not going to school, but again, you can see the polarization between how females are extremely into this type of dude, where it's promoted, loved, and valued by them due to the music and the influences they receive as what's important and what's not important, and how this other dude becomes important later in life, but they want to jump back in as if like that's how life works, but life doesn't work that way. And so if you fall into this trap, this pit of you demonizing and you and angelizing something and thinking that in other parts of the world, people, places, and things are different. No, not really. We all just have a problem of mismanaging our energies and investing too much into a title, form, a word, someone else's ideals about things outside of us that we really can't even afford to uphold or be like. Because again, God designed you so that you can be like yourself and not like any other person, place, or thing. And so you need to embody this behavior that's already inside of you, and not to confuse it with negative habit patterns, things that we do to ourselves that mess up our progress, that creates stagnation and things like that slow us down from reaching our goal and our godlike form and things like that. If you had to go Super Saiyan and be like Goku and things like that. But you're a whole new archetype. Who knows? You might actually just start being yourself, and you might have a whole new approach to finances. You might have a whole new approach to wealth. You might have a whole new approach to relationships that men today need, and that become your information, product, services, and things like that. You might have a whole new approach to gaining wisdom that other people want to replicate in their life because they saw that it's an easily implementable process, similar to the streamlining of McDonald's, which makes their product excel and their restaurant excel because a 3-year-old can run it. And so people want things that are easily implementable. So you might have this whole new form of wisdom, this whole form of knowledge that's lying dormant inside of you. However you choose to express it, whether it's musically, poetically, theatrically, whether you want to come here like me and present yourself and things like that. So we all have access to these things, but you'll never do anything new if you're too busy with this duality of heroes and villains, and this dualities of, this is the good guy and this is the bad guy. And if you're too busy with these things, you're gonna get lost in some debate about ethics and things like that. And life is not about ethics exactly. Let me tell you that. To be in life, you need to understand the game. And if you don't understand the game, you're gonna get smoked, and you're gonna be like these people in you can be like these old dudes in what is it? Whatever environment you call when you're too old and you get sent there and things like that. I forgot what it's called for some reason. But yeah, you don't want to be in that position where you're too old to know what's your purpose on earth, and you're unable to carry it, not due to age and due to mental illnesses. And so the only thing you could do is just sit back and regret and make one of these videos. Oh, top five things to do not to regret your life, and you're flipping through them on TikTok and things like that. No, you want to be able to structure and organize your life now, so you don't experience that when you get older, so you can fulfill the most fulfilling life, so we can see you when you're 60, 70, 40, 30, 20 years old, telling us how you will now have a life fulfilling, sustaining purpose, and then the story of how you didn't get lost in all these operational variables that really the shadow government and the Masons people be putting in front of you to distract your mind away from what's really important, and that's your progression, and that's the expansion of your mind, and not you constantly being in this contracted state where you're just depressed, you're worried, you're scared, you're doubtful, you don't know what's coming on tomorrow, and things like that. So, have idols, watch people that you like, watch people that give you hope for the future and things and for your own future, and things that, wow, if this person can do this, I can do this myself in my life. Because chances are somebody could do something in their life. You can 100% and absolutely do it in your life, but you might just have a different angle about doing it and things like that. So spend time with people that that you admire. Watch people that put life into you, that make you see things in awe and in wow, and it refreshes your sense of life, where it doesn't put you in a state of death and things like that. Because I remember a lot of my friends who smoke cigarettes and things like that, the reason why they're smoking cigarettes is because they want to take thoughts and feelings out of their head that they don't want to deal with. But little do they know, it's going to be coming back again and again and again until they deal with it. And so they don't know how to deal with themselves. And because they don't know how to deal with themselves, they don't know how to treat anyone else like a human being. I would say that if you smoke cigarettes, you're evil and you're a bad human being or anything like that. No, it's not about right and wrong. Just understand the root of why you do things. And so don't get lost in these valuables, drugs, substances, females, these things that really mean little to no none, because females just fall from trees like fruits. There's so many of them. But what matters is, what are you going to do in your everyday life to do your purpose, live a purposeful, meaning, fulfilling life, and that's what's going to attract to you that female that you've always secretly wanted to be with, because you got to embody that behavior for you to attract someone who is embodying that behavior or on the way to themselves. Because greatness recognizes greatness. Great women recognize great men. Great men recognize great women, and vice versa. And that's how it goes. So don't get lost in the love and the hip hop story. Don't get lost in the basketball wives. It's but also an allegory to say there's no need for all that drama. There's no need for all that clogginess, that messiness. Because we want to be able to unclog and unmess and unfuck ourselves, so we can clearly and consciously participate every day in what we call our purpose. And I love you. I appreciate you. Nothing you could do about it. And I'm going to infinitely see you on the next video. You better believe it. Real shit.